You know, in the world of gold mining, it feels like most companies are just trying to keep their heads above water, fighting off rising costs and dealing with lower quality finds. But what if one company wasn't just surviving? What if it was about to completely flip that script? Today, we're breaking down an analysis of Eldorado Gold, which argues it's right on the edge of a massive transformation. Let's dig in.
For most miners out there, the story's been a tough one lately. Costs are up, quality is down. But the analysis we're diving into today makes a really bold claim right out of the gate. Eldorado Gold, ticker EGO, is different. It's not just playing the same old game, it's practically writing a new rulebook. And that's the big question, isn't it? How exactly are they doing this? We're going to break down the argument from our source piece by piece, from their specific projects all the way to global trends, to really understand the case that's being made for this company's future.
Okay, first things first, we need to set the scene. For most gold miners, it's been a constant battle against inflation and just tough geology. But the whole premise here is that Eldorado has found a unique way to tackle these huge industry-wide headaches.
I mean, look at this. The contrast they're laying out is pretty stark. On one side, you have the typical miner narrative. Costs are ballooning, the quality of ore is dropping. But the story for Eldorado, according to this analysis, is the total opposite. They're focused on actually lowering costs while bringing on a ton of high-margin volume. And the kicker, they've apparently got the track record to prove they can do it.
So how is Eldorado pulling this off? Well, at the very heart of this entire analysis is one single project, Skouries, over in Greece. Now, this isn't just another mine. It's being presented as the engine that could completely rewrite the company's valuation.
And the timeline here is absolutely crucial. For years, Skouries was just a project that burned through cash. I mean, huge construction costs. But the analysis is pointing to a massive, fundamental shift that's right around the corner. The project is about to switch from construction to actual production. That means the cash register finally starts ringing. And then, soon after that, it's expected to be fully ramped up. This is the pivot point, from spending money to making money.
Now, this pivot is central to a key financial concept you'll hear about, a re-rating. See, for years, Eldorado has been trading with what's called a developer discount. The market gives it a lower valuation because of all the risks that come with building a massive project. The whole thesis is that as Skouries comes online and starts churning out cash, the market is going to have to reevaluate the company, potentially giving it a producer premium. That's the higher valuation you see for stable, proven operators.
So just how big of a deal is this project? Well, the source projects that Skouries alone will tack on an extra 140,000 ounces of gold to the company's annual production. That's not just a little bump. That is a massive, game-changing increase in volume from just one new mine.
And get this, it's not just about gold. The analysis makes a huge point that Skouries will also be churning out a staggering 67 million pounds of copper every single year. Now keep that number in your back pocket, because it becomes a really critical part of the story when we look at the bigger picture.
Of course, a great story about the future is one thing, but you've got to be able to deliver in the here and now. The source argues that Eldorado isn't just some bet on what's to come. It's a company that's already proving it can get the job done across its other mines.
Yeah, it helps to think of their main assets kind of like a cast of characters. You've got Lamaque up in Canada, that's the steady, reliable workhorse. Then you have Skouries, which is obviously the future superstar of the whole show. And then there's Olympias, also in Greece, which has had a really interesting and important recent history.
The story of Olympias is held up as proof that management knows what they're doing. According to the source, this mine was a huge drag on the stock earlier in the year because of some processing problems. But by the fourth quarter, the team had completely turned it around. Production jumped big time. And this turnaround is key because it builds confidence that this same team can pull off the even bigger ramp up at Skouries.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second. A great company story is powerful, but it's even better when it's happening inside a great market. And this analysis points to two massive global trends that could be like a powerful wind at Eldorado's back.
First, you've got gold itself. We're in what the source is calling a super cycle, with things like massive central bank buying pushing prices up. And this isn't some fringe idea. The concept of much higher gold prices is being seriously talked about by major players like JP Morgan.
So you get this powerful 1-2 punch. First, the company gets to ride this potential historic wave in gold prices. And second, remember all that copper from Skouries? That gives them what the source calls the copper kicker. Direct exposure to the enormous global trend of electrification where copper is absolutely essential.
Now, the source material also gets into the weeds on a specific trading analysis.
I want to be crystal clear here. We're explaining that analysis. We are not giving advice. This is all about understanding the technical perspective that was laid out in the document. So the analysis uses a couple of key technical terms. The first is the RSI, or Relative Strength Index. It had been way up high, signaling the stock was overbought, and the fact that it has cooled off recently is seen as a much more attractive setup. The second is this idea of a support zone, basically a price range where the analysis suggests buyers are likely to step in and show strong interest.
Based on those technicals, the source lays out two possible approaches. There's a more aggressive play, and then there's a more conservative strategy of easing into a position over time, maybe waiting for that big news about Skouries' first production before going all in. The whole idea is to manage risk around that key event.
And this view isn't just in a vacuum. The analysis also points to outside validation, like a price target from Scotiabank. At the time the report was written, that target implied a potential upside of around 35 to 40% from where the stock was then. So after all that, after looking at the projects, the management's performance, the huge macro trends, and the technicals, what's the big idea here? Let's boil this whole thing down to its absolute essence.
And there you have it, the central thesis all in one sentence. The argument is that you're seeing this incredibly rare moment where a company is on the verge of a massive internal growth spurt, and it's happening at the exact same time that its main product, gold, is in a historic bull market. And that brings us to the final, forward-looking question posed by this analysis. The next big thing to watch for is the company's upcoming results, and more importantly, its guidance for the year ahead. So the question is, will that guidance be the final piece of the puzzle? The confirmation that really solidifies this whole growth story? It's what makes this such a compelling situation to keep an eye on.